Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 24th of March, 2019. It makes it the day after Patriot Gallery's birthday.
Yay!
She's our dear mum.
So we were running through the store yesterday, and a older gentleman came up to Michelle and said, "You look like spring."
I was wearing this exact same outfit. I thought it was so springy I'd wear it again today.
And then another older gentleman looked at Michelle, so he's like, "You have a flower growing out your head."
And he's like, where are the roots? And he said, "Open your mouth." And I'm like, okay. And he's like, "Yeah, I see them in there." I'm like, it takes all kinds of people in this world to interact and show your roots.
I know. Did your jaw just crack?
I don't know, maybe.
I was like, what was that?
I'm not really sure.
Okay, so last night, after Patriot,
oh wait,
after
hang on.
Patriot,
what is
birthday.
wrong with my earring here? That's not why I'm getting up. Hang on. You said last night you came to me and you said the game's afoot.
No, that was the other day.
It wasn't last night?
No. That was nice. It was a good try.
Oh.
It was a really good effort. I said that the other day.
Night?
No.
The game's afoot.
No, that's nice. It wasn't last night. Because but no.
It was really exciting. I went to bed happy. Like I went to bed like tomorrow is gonna be like the coolest day ever.
I knew that it wouldn't go through because Theresa May has some sort of like satanic power.
It's crummy.
So while we're bringing people up for Sunday's show,
we're
going to talk about the fact that there was a coup.
There was gonna be a coup
last night. It was for real. But they couldn't get it together.
Get your coup together.
Get your coup together. They couldn't get their coup together. They couldn't pick they couldn't pick a leader, and they were. I guess they wanted. I guess this guy named Michael Gove. He's a real big Brexiteer, but they were afraid that he had bigger.
Well, and then her deputy, he's a Remainer.
Yeah. And
he's like, "No, I stand behind Theresa May." Well, that should tell you something.
So they came out, a couple of the guys who were like on the short list to take over. But they say that she's pretty erratic.
Yeah.
This is hearsay. Obviously, I'm not there.
No, read the thing. Are you going to cover it later again?
Read what thing?
What you read to me last night about the actual article that you were reading from Zero Hedge talked about some quotes of literally how they were feeling about Theresa May.
Yeah, sure. So last night, this is the article. I'm like going to bed. And I'm just like, oh, I know we're going to cover tomorrow, right? Exactly. And then I'm just like, with this Brexit thing, it's literally like by the minute. So while I'm going with you, I'm going to be on Twitter. I'm going to look at the Leave EU and Nigel just to see by the minute what's happening.
Yeah.
But it started out, Theresa may have days, if not hours, left as Prime Minister of the UK following a full-blown cabinet coup on Saturday night as senior ministers moved to oust the UK Prime Minister and replace her with Deputy David Lidington. The frantic series of private telephone calls, senior ministers agreed the Prime Minister must announce she is standing down, warning that she has become toxic and erratic, and she become a toxic and erratic figure whose judgment has gone haywire. The plot is reportedly planned to confront May at a cabinet meeting today, Sunday, and demands she announce she's quitting. If she refuses, they will threaten mass resignations or publicly demand her head. The conspirators were locked in talks late on Saturday to try to reach a consensus deal on a new prime minister, so there does not have to be a protracted leadership contest. Now, so go check out Breitbart London just to make sure and see what's going on here.
Last night.
Zombie May. I love that. That is like the perfect title because like you can't kill her. She's already dead, baby. You can't kill her.
Yeah, exactly.
She's already the Walking Dead. Zombie May. You can't kill her. You can't kill no zombie.
Yeah, but you know what else you can't do? You can't get rid of her.
No.
She keeps coming back.
You know what? I hate zombie movies.
I hate zombies. I dislike them like a lot. And I love movies that would kind of be like a zombie movie. I just hate zombies in movies. You know what though? Like, I don't like something that can't be killed.
Vampires at least have a personality.
Yeah.
Zombies, they just, you know what I mean? Like there's no substance to them.
So you're saying that Theresa May lacks substance?
Look at her face. She looks like Smeagol.
She does.
She looks like a distant relative of Smeagol from Lord of the Rings. Now, Theresa May could survive the palace coup, which appeared to be unfolding at breakneck speed on Saturday night as the cabinet ministers, who were frontrunners to take over as caretaker leaders, publicly disavow the plot. So they were going to be caretakers and then with, in an election in the fall. Mrs. May has clung on through numerous political reverses. I don't know how she's still hanging on. Yeah. She's
being pumped full
Listen,
of like fake life-giving drugs.
I don't believe anything anybody tells me. You ain't gonna sell me no bridge, okay?
We don't have the money to buy one anyway, but
Ain't gonna sell me no bridge, okay? So they say that everybody's telling her to resign, but her husband is telling her to hang in there. That's like the most flat out stupid lie I've ever heard. Nobody runs a country and says, my husband tells me to hang in there. You know what I mean? That's not happening. You know what? It's seriously like she's telling everybody that, right? Like if she is. No.
Yeah.
It's almost, it's like a third person written story where like you can't read her mind and you don't know what's going on inside of her home. You know what I mean? So it's the EU that's telling her to hold on.
Exactly.
It's the EU leaders. It's the puppeteers, the puppet masters who want to make Brexit hurt as bad as possible. And they are damaging Theresa May's health. I mean, she doesn't look
She
good.
looks really bad. She sounds horrible.
She's literally, I think she must have given a blood pack to somebody. And they are going, Horatio said something about her being something into bondage and weird, crazy sexual stuff. I don't know if that's true or not. But if somebody has some goods on her, she's going to hang on. It doesn't matter. See, what happens...
Do you think they would be using that to threaten her?
Why else do you think she's so quicker? You know what I'm saying? This is the crazy... Like, she is a bold-faced psychopath.
She is.
You can't say, we're going to leave on the 29th of March over and over and over again, and then suddenly come out and say, just kidding.
Right.
You know what I mean? She's a bold-faced psychopath liar. She's a psychopath. Like, if I came before my country and I said over and over again, she knew she wasn't leaving on the 29th of March.
Right.
She was lying. She's being told a bill of goods.
Sold.
And she's telling a bill of goods.
She was selling.
She's selling a bill of goods.
There's a lot of buying and selling going on here.
Exactly. And so she's got puppet masters all over. She's not her own person. What comes out her mouth is not her. Right? And I think that's what gives psychopaths an advantage over everybody else, is that they don't feel.
Yeah, they lack empathy.
They lack empathy and they lack the ability to do self-assessments.
Right.
And so you can see that Theresa May, Donald Trump is not a psychopath because he's always coming out with, like, you can tell that, like, if the public or we're saying something, he's moved by it.
Right.
Like, his heart is moved. Like, Donald Trump has a heart. Theresa May, somebody took it out and put it in a box somewhere. It's like,
Yeah.
The Davy Jones locker.
But we've heard Donald Trump, like, apologize before and say, I got that one wrong. We're going to make it right. So the Green Knight here says, the only way that May can save herself now is by sacking the Remainers, bringing in Boris and Mogg, and going for a no-deal Brexit. Now, I wanted to explain to our American viewers who may not understand, it's a very complicated process, made even more complicated by the fact that Theresa May is a psychopath and all of this stuff keeps going, like, 1 step forward, 5 steps back.
That's exactly what happened.
And that is the fact that we still have a chance for a no-deal Brexit. It just won't happen on the 29th of March. The next date that it could get pushed to is April 12th. Theresa May's cabinet and people, they are saying that they are starting to prepare for a no-deal Brexit, including having 3,500 troops on standby. I think it's a lie.
Your eyeshadow is like a little bit distracting, only because, I'm looking at it, I'm like, she's got the pink, and then the yellow, and then the blue, and she literally did her shirt.
I did do
and
that.
I'm just like, whoa, she's like all the colors of the rainbow. I've never seen that before. It's nice. It works. You make it work.
I started to shop for brighter colors for the show because I recognized that everything in my closet was like drab black or something.
No,
like more of like a earth tony browns and things like that. So now when I say shop, I say thrift store. We don't just over. I'm wearing a $6 outfit here.
That's pretty
really
impressive.
proud of it.
All right. Okay. So, all right. So, Mrs. May has clung on through numerous political reverses, which seemed certain to bring her down, losing the Tory party's parliamentary majority in 2017 snap election. That was stupid.
It was ridiculous.
And Boris Johnson resigned, and as the inaugural Brexit secretary, later his successor over her EU strategy, a vote of no confidence in her own as a party leader, which saw over half of her backbenchers back her removal. I mean, it's huge. Her government becoming the first in recorded history to be found in contempt of Parliament, suffering a historic parliamentary defeat when she first proposed her Brexit deal to MPs twice, and a vote of no confidence
wanting to go for a third time.
Opposition.
Still going to go for a third time. And I'm kind of confused about this for 1 second. Can somebody explain to me how where we are at on the John Burkow saying unless there's
He hasn't made nothing has changed.
Right. So the EU has come and said
she's going to bring forward a new deal. So what I have understood is that she's going to supposedly meet with EU leaders, come up with a different deal and present it. Remember we read this. Right. 6 different. She's got 7 different options. 7. Okay. One is a no deal Brexit. One's a new vote, and so that's her way of saying. And one is her deal. So that's her way of getting her deal back on the vote.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Either she has to declare another election in order to get this current deal through, or she has to come up with a new deal.
What they decided was
between now and April 12th.
Maybe Burkow will allow the third vote on it if it's in a package of a bunch of options. So that's how, that was her, like, see, it's really smart. Like, if you're, like, trying to put one over on somebody.
Yeah.
Then let's see if I can get, she wants this deal through. This is her only deal. This has only been the only deal. It's never changed.
Right.
This is the only deal the EU says, and the EU wants this deal more than anything.
Well, Britt Baza says if John Burkow doesn't okay her deal, it doesn't even get through the House.
Right. So we still don't know. So Tom Luton Dunn says the coup is dead by lunchtime if it ever seriously lived. Michael Gove has done a broadcast clip, and Lidington has to denounce the idea of a caretaker PM and deny any involvement in a plot to install one. On rumors of him becoming a caretaker PM, David Lidington says, if there's one thing working closely with the Prime Minister does, it's cure you have completely of any lingering shed of ambition to want to do that task. Lie. Nobody's going to turn down the chance to be Prime Minister. Ask about a leadership coup. Michael Gove says, it's not the time to change the captain of the ship. We need to chart the right course. Everybody's selling out.
Stuart the Brit says any one country in Europe will not veto. They are receiving British taxpayers' money. They will not give that up.
For a time, it appeared as though it was all over, bar the shooting, but squabbles over who would succeed Mrs. May as a so-called caretaker or interim Prime Minister may have strangled the plot at birth. Her de facto deputy, David Lidington, was an early front-runner, although his former position as European Minister under David Cameron and a reputation as a staunch Remainer rendered him unacceptable to the Brexiteers. Alternative choice, Michael Gove, a Brexiteer and leading figure in the Vote Leave campaign during the EU referendum in 2016, was suspected of having long-term leadership ambitions, so he was not good enough. And so Rees-Mogg actually believes that the plot was bogus. This stinks of a 10 Downing Street operation to blackmail us into voting for Theresa May's deal. They've threatened us with an election, a soft Brexit, no Brexit, and now they are threatening us with David Lidington or Michael Gove as becoming Prime Minister. So I think that Rees-Mogg has his head on more straight than ever.
And I thought that this morning when I woke up, obviously I went to bed last night really excited, but when I woke up and I found out that it had fizzled out, I was like, okay, here they are. And they keep doing that, by the way. They keep throwing the dog, like they're pretending to throw the dog a bone. Like, hey, I got this bone I'm going to throw you. And it's all fake. It's all smoke and mirrors. And they do it once again to get your hopes up and then to dash them. And to get your hopes up and to dash them because they are trying to wear people down because it's psychological warfare. They understand that it works. When you get someone's hopes up in order for them to be dashed and you keep doing that over and over and over again, it wears somebody down.
All right, so Nigel Farage, let's get a little bit more upbeat here. He joined Nigel Farage at Parliament Square this Friday. So I want all of our... Is this on?
No.
Let's turn this on. I want everybody who's in the UK, I want you all to go to Parliament Square because they had a huge march this weekend. About 1 million people who wanted a new vote.
Right.
So if I know that a lot of pensioners, the retired people, and older people who voted for Brexit aren't going to be able to get out of their houses and go. So everybody in the UK, it's like as big as Ohio.
Oh my gosh, though, hang on.
So everybody needs to go to Parliament Square.
Let me do something really quickly here before you play that. Here, put your headphones on. Speaking of which, the BBC was so quick to come out and say that there were 1 million people that marched, right?
That's a lot of people.
I'm like, okay, how many other times have we what do you mean? Do I have another figure?
Is it less than 1 million?
No, I don't know, but what I'm saying is it could very well have been 1 million. What I'm saying is every time there's like a Tommy March or...
It's always underestimated. So I believe you're right. 1 million people is so many people. They're
so fast to come out and say, let's see if this... Right. Why am I not hearing it? Can you hear it?
No.
You have to hear this. This is their new like fight song here.
Oh, I saw. Is this the one where they put it up to the kid?
No.
The microphone.
Okay, let's see. Are you ready for this? You guys aren't ready for this. Watch this. Listen to this. Come listen to this with me.
I don't have volume.
I know. I don't know why.
Do they have volume?
No.
There it is.
Our MPs must know it's true. We should stay in the EU. Bye bye Brexit. There's no better deal than what we've got now.
This is their fight song.
Clearly we should call the whole thing off now. Brexiteers have had their try. Let us wave a deal goodbye. Brexit.
I'm sorry, I couldn't pass up sharing that piece of amazing musical mastery. And you know, the enthusiasm behind their singing that, I mean, it's unparalleled. I've never seen anything quite that incredible for how, you know, strong they feel about their cause. You know, like, I think I could have, bye, bye, Brexit. Think we should stay in the EU, something like that. Like, they really could have given it something. Like, I'm not even for staying, and I could have given it more. Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
I was in a very Brexit part of the country yesterday. I was in Mansfield, and we marched down to Nottingham. I'm getting rather used to these long-distance walks. I'm quite enjoying them, actually. It was rather delightful, actually, because I finished up in Anna Soubry's constituency, which was fun. But yes, I was meeting people out on the street yesterday, beginning to worry whether it will ever happen. And I think it will. I think those opinion polls show you what the direction of travel is. In the end, Brexit's going to get there, but it could be very painful, and there could be more battles until we achieve it. Is it time for the PM to go? Lisa is calling from Leicestershire. Good morning, Lisa.
Oh, hi, Nigel. We are calling you here from the march.
I met you yesterday on the march, didn't I?
Yes, yeah. And firstly, I'd like to say we're all hugely relieved to be going a little bit slower today.
I was leading the march for Brexit yesterday, and I think, Lisa, I think I'm a little bit fitter than many of the media pundits would like to suggest.
Definitely, you surprised us all.
Right.
So we're all here on the march. It's a beautiful day, and I think many of us, I can't necessarily speak for all, we're all in a long line walking along a gorgeous field and river, feel that she should not change the law and go out on Friday as promised.
OK, well, if she goes out on Friday as promised, then you and the March to Leave, and me when I join you in Parliament Square, we can have a huge party in Parliament Square because we'll have left.
I love that. You never know what could happen between now and Friday.
Right.
So our Friday show will probably be a European UK show, meaning just about Brexit.
Yeah.
Instead of the weekly roundup. So you guys can look forward to that.
Exactly.
I think it'll be really fun.
Exactly. So I'm really happy.
Or not fun, but either way it'll be fun. Because we have fun.
Here's their March to Leave. So, you know, these people are way happier, by the way.
Well, they're happier than the bye Brexit people.
Right,
I mean, seriously, could you be any more lackluster?
Right.
And it's not because they didn't know the words. They literally were not happy about singing that song.
Right. Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so
Britboston says the largest ever march in the UK was the Countryside Alliance March that topped 1 million people because the politicians double-crossed the people of this nation beyond London's M25. I have to tell you, I don't think there were 1 million people there yesterday. It could have been, but I do know that when a Tommy March happens and they say there were like 5 people there and there were close to 100,000, you know what I mean? It's complete bias.
this is the only petition that matters. There's another petition circulating to stay in the EU. This is the only petition that matters.
17 million signatures to leave the European Union.
So Michael Gove gave Theresa May the dreaded vote of confidence, declaring now is not the time to change captain of the ship. So he says that. They were kind of hoping maybe you could... Well, and here's the thing. A lot of the staunch Brexiteers have left. So there's not many left in there to give her any sort of... And so when they did resign, it's almost like, ugh, you wonder, like, was that Was it a good idea or was it a bad idea?
No, I thought it was a bad idea from the beginning when Boris Johnson left, or was he Foreign Home Secretary or something like that?
You stay in. I mean, like, unless you're forced to resign.
Yeah, like, stay in and get something done. I think that Boris thought that he could, by resigning somehow, he could become prime minister. I don't know. It all seems very sketchy and weird to me.
So, Levy Youssef from the Bow Group says there's no utility in replacing Theresa May with another supporter of her withdrawal agreement. The Conservatives needs full democratic reform to allow a genuine Tory grassroots movement to renew the party and leadership. It's Groundhog Day.
That's kind of how it feels.
And this is David Linnington back in 2013 promised a referendum would settle the argument for good and called for more Europe. Now cabinet members are putting his name forward to replace May and deliver even more Brexit delay and dilution. So you can never, like, literally, you cannot trust what these people say, and it's heartbreaking, but it's crazy.
Like Mog said, this smells of like something they were just trying to push forward from 10 Downing Street, because nobody's going to want these people as prime minister. Mm-hmm. Like, if it really was a coup, full of legitimate people, like the options, the names that it would have been floating around would have been more palatable.
So, Duncan Smith says there's a real puzzlement and anger out there, and calls Theresa May's capitulation to Brussels this week on the Brexit delay as close to a national humiliation as ever.
4 days was as close to a national humiliation as I think I've seen. The Prime Minister on Wednesday, I thought was a mistake.
That speech where she blamed MPs.
I thought that was a tactical mistake. So I thought that she was obviously frustrated, but I thought if somebody should have said, don't do it, walk away from it, because it kind of stirred up angers. But I think the biggest problem was she had a plan that she wanted to go and ask for an extension hinged on her deal. She went, they dismissed that, rather arrogantly, I thought, and then promptly gave her something she didn't ask for. And then we accepted it. And that was this 2-week extension if she doesn't get her deal through, or the May deal if we get the deal through. And I thought that was as close to being humiliated as any prime minister I've ever seen in Britain.
She's not a great negotiator, is she?
Well, I don't even think there was any attempt at negotiation on this, as far as I was concerned. I mean, I would have liked to have seen her say, I didn't ask for that, and therefore that's off the table. I want the question on what I asked for, which is, we leave on the 29th. And I think there's a big frustration going on. You always hear this from politicians. I was on the doorsteps, blah, blah, blah. Truth was, I was the last 2 days. And the one constant resounding question was, I thought we were leaving on the 29th of March. Right. Why is that the case? Why aren't we leaving on the 29th of March? Are we going to extend? What's going on? There's real puzzlement and anger out there.
Wow.
Because Theresa May doesn't want to leave. And
exactly. She was a Remainer. Yeah. She voted to remain. The fact that anybody thought for a second that she would try to deliver a legitimate Brexit. I mean, and the way that she delivers these speeches is so condescending and full of lies, saying like, listen, I'm giving you Brexit and I'm trying to give you a deal, and these MPs don't really want you to leave, the EU, or else they would vote for my deal. Well, your deal isn't leaving the EU. And she lies. She says you're gonna get all these things back, and we are gaining our independence, and that's what my deal puts forward, and that's a sack of lies.
Right. So we talked about the Downing Street wants to give MPs votes on different Brexit options, and among those is Theresa May's deal, an even softer Brexit, a no-deal Brexit.
Right.
And I think there was 5 or 6 of them. It's just absolutely insane. So here's some protests pictures. Let's see. It's not possible to ensure the security of EU without the UK, and it's very important on the economic side that the UK is a very important partner. You know your stuff when France's ambassador does a better job explaining why Britain should dictate terms than our own government.
Right.
So basically, with the power that the UK has, the EU needs the UK.
Exactly.
So you should be the one coming to the table and say, listen, I'm leaving.
Right.
What do you want? What do you need? Now, on that, bring up that video on the Brexit divorce. It's literally the funniest but best explanation of Brexit I have ever seen.
Okay, so before I do, the Brit girl is here, and she says, May delivering Brexit is as logical as Pelosi delivering the wall.
That is a really, really good comparison.
And we still have been meaning to have you on our show.
Yes, absolutely. I was kind of hoping on the Brexit deal.
Yeah,
it's not coming. It's not happening. We definitely we want to hear from you guys, not just our own pundit. This is this is funny, but it's not. To me, it was like, oh my gosh, these guys get the whole thing. I mean, I've never seen, like, this is Brexit laid out in 2 minutes. Watch.
You have to give me a second chance.
I've already said no. It's over.
You've never even given me a proper reason.
You're too controlling.
I ask your opinion before I do anything.
You don't respect my boundaries.
We both agreed on an open relationship.
Look, I feel like I'm losing my identity.
No, now you are just blaming me for your own personal problems.
All I know is I'm unhappy, and I need to be on my own for a while.
So you are off the market?
Well, I might start a new relationship.
Oh, really? Just like this, huh?
Yes, why not?
Oh, well, maybe you are not as hot as you think you are, eh?
Well, there's that American guy.
He's not interested, he is only into himself.
Well, then there's India.
Your ex-boyfriend? Seriously? That was a toxic relationship? All you did was take. And you call me controlling?
I'm leaving you. I've put your stuff in boxes on the table.
I see you are keeping the Coventry International Transport Museum.
That was a gift.
Oh, congratulations, you have woken him up.
Oh, where are Mommy and Daddy Phaeton?
Daddy's going away for a little while, sweetie.
But I don't want Daddy at all.
Well, it's between myself and your father, so let's go back to bed. Yes?
Daddy is still going to be here, okay?
We'll see about that.
Excusez-moi?
I want full custody.
Oh, no. He stays with me.
You can't use him as some sort of pawn.
Oh, you do not even know his name.
Ireland.
Northern Ireland.
Whatever.
Why don't we ask him what he thinks?
Oh, it doesn't matter what he bloody thinks.
Yes,
it's what's best for me, for the family.
Well, okay, you want a divorce? Fine, you can have one. But I am not going to make this easy. I am going to draw things out until the last minute. And I hope you like negotiating, because this is going to be explosiating. Fine. See you in Brussels.
As soon as I've turned 18, I'm out of here.
Ooh, political. Hey, we're Foil Arms and Hog. Thanks a million for watching. We have new videos every single Thursday.
That's good.
Oh my gosh, that was fantastic. I had not seen that yet. That was really fun.
Scotland going in the end. I was just so like spot on.
Right.
It's good. It was really good.
Oh my gosh. Girl says Brexit will happen because it's the law. They cannot legally stop it. But then again, when has the law ever stopped the government from doing what they want?
Absolutely.
Abominable Snowman says it's not a divorce or Brexit. We voted for independence from the EU. There's no hard or soft independence. Thus, the media chose the meaningless term Brexit.
That's
very
true.
well said.
I think we showed you guys this on Friday, but this is pretty sick. These are Leave people who say a Leave towel that it was, a Remain towel. People who voted for Brexit who are now dead. It has just pictures of older people, and it literally is ageism.
Yeah,
and it's really sad. And it's the young people. Literally, it's the mindset that you have with abortion, with infanticide,
right?
With you're old people and you don't
deserve a voice. You won't be here, so you know whatever.
Right.
Here's the deal: people act as if, as soon as you die, your part here in this world ceases to exist.
Right.
And we talked about this with the patterns of evidence that in your written words, and in the decisions that you make,
right.
You leave a legacy because you want to leave something better than when it was given to you or when you were a part of it. And that's why we see a lot of older people, when they die, they give land to a charitable cause or something because they want to leave a legacy. They want to die knowing that what they have left behind them, is something worthy. And I think that it's very selfish, hateful. I don't even know what the word is. Sinful. It's evil to take that away from somebody, to say, listen, you're not going to be here anymore. So how you want to leave this world doesn't matter. The past, 75, 85, 95 years that you have lived here, they don't matter.
Right.
When you're a human being, when you live and you breathe every day, you are a part of something. You're part of a huge creation that the Lord made. And your voice matters now. And it matters after you're gone.
I'm going to bring up, Britt Baza did send a little quote from Oliver Cromwell, and I do want to read that because it makes he kind of says it goes to today a little bit. Let's see. I think he sent it. Here it goes. Now it says, this is a speech of Oliver Cromwell in the House of Commons as he dissolved it after the English Civil War. Kind of rings true today. Go ahead and read it.
It is high time for me to put an end to your sitting in this place, which you have dishonored by your contempt of all virtue, and defiled by your practice of every vice. Ye are a factitious crew and enemies to all good government. Ye are a pack of mercenary wretches, and would like Esau sell your country for a mess of pottage, and like Judas betray your God for a few pieces of money. Is there a single virtue now remaining amongst you? Is there one vice you do not possess? Ye have more religion than my horse. Gold is your god, which you have not bartered your conscience for bribes. Is there a man that has the least care for the good of the commonwealth? Ye sordid prostitutes, have you not defiled this sacred place and turned the Lord's temple into a den of thieves by your immoral principles and picked practices? Ye are grown intolerably odious to the whole nation. You are deputed here by deputied, I think, right?
No, deputed.
Deputed here by the people to get grievances redressed, are yourselves gone. So take away that shining bauble there and lock up the doors in the name of God. Go.
This is hilarious. Corbyn's brother shares a petition calling for the Queen to save Brexit by suspending Parliament. Hard left Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn's older brother Piers has circulated an official petition calling for Queen Elizabeth II to ensure Brexit takes place on 29th of March, as scheduled in the European Union Withdrawal Act of 2018 and repeatedly promised by the Prime Minister, but temporarily proroguing. Yeah, suspending. See, why you guys in Britain got to make us look stupid by words we don't even know what they are.
Deputed.
Well,
Deputed.
This one. What is
proroguing?
Proroguing. Okay, temporary proroguing, suspending the current parliamentary session. I was in the ambulance riding with Mom, and there was one of the drivers there was talking about how they had a guy from the UK on their squad, and he works part-time with them. And he said he loves the accent so much that he wishes he could just call up the guy's wife and just listen to her read a book. And he's like, we were talking about how you guys in the UK, you have a much broader vocabulary. And I try to use big words, man.
Right. It means shut it down.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And he's like, and he even said that. He's like, their vocabulary is so much bigger than ours. So much bigger.
It just so bigger.
Yeah. You know, okay, so Jeremy and Piers Corbyn are both longtime critics of the European Union, but while the younger Corbyn's public position on the bloc changed after he was elevated to the leadership of the largely Europhile left-wing opposition party, his older brother has remained staunchly opposed to it. The celebrity meteorologist, who is also a noted skeptic of the theory of the man-made climate change, shared a petition signed by almost 100,000 people calling on the Prime Minister to have the British monarch guarantee Brexit takes place, deal or no deal, on March 29th. So by stopping the parliamentary session until that date and preventing the Remainers' dominated houses of Parliament from acting to block, delay, or otherwise sabotage it. So this is Stop the EU. I love that he shared this. I love that Corbyn's older brother shared this. It just goes to show you, like, even I think Boris Johnson's sister is like a hard lefty Remainer. So it's very, I think it's kind of,
it's not just right and left as far as Remain or Brexit goes. Because
right. No, I know.
You have Corbyn wanting to leave because he can't make his country 100% communist and be like some sort of superpower without pulling out of the EU.
I just thought it was interesting that you guys have a little bit better of family relations with total, complete opposite political beliefs. But maybe you don't hold them that strong.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. So speaking of British government being crazy, this literally was like a bunch of worms under my skin.
Gosh, and this made me angry the other day. You were going to cover it the other day, and then we didn't get a chance.
And I really don't know how to spit this out, but spitting it out with nails, so I'm just going to do it. The Home Office has rejected the asylum application of a Christian convert, an Iranian Christian convert, who said they had been drawn to the faith by its peaceful nature due to a government official ruling that Christianity is not peaceful. So here's a guy saying, I know Islam is dangerous and it's violent.
Yeah.
And when I heard about Christianity, I was drawn to it because of it's so peaceful. And you have somebody in the Home Office saying, well, Christianity isn't peaceful. And it literally defies our thinking. The applicant indicated that they had converted to Christianity from Islam because of its peaceful nature, stating that in Islam there is violence, rage, and revenge. In Christianity, in the contrary, it is about talking about peace, forgiveness, and kindness. This earned the ire of the Home Office bureaucrat or bureaucrats charged with assessing the application. The official cobbled together 6 passages from the King James Version and the New International Version of the Old New Testament, such as Matthew 10:34, in which Christ proclaims he has not come to send peace but a sword, in an effort to prove that the applicant's view of Christianity was wrong and that the Christian scripture is in fact filled with imagery of revenge, destruction, death, and violence. Would they do that to a Muslim?
That's crazy.
Would they do that to a Muslim?
No.
It's absolutely insanity. These examples are inconsistent with your claim that you converted to Christianity after discovering it is a peaceful religion, as opposed to Islam, which contains violent rage and revenge. The rejection letter to the applicant admonishes passive-aggressively an implicit ruling that Christianity is not peaceful, certainly not relative to Islam, and indeed is so clearly not peaceful that the Home Office does not consider perceived peacefulness a credible reason for conversion.
Oh my gosh.
So they don't think that he actually converted to Christianity. I am extremely concerned that a government department could determine the future of another human being based on such a profound misunderstanding of the text and practices of faith communities, commented Paul Butler, Bishop of Durham for the Church of England. To use extracts from the Book of Revelation to argue that Christianity is a violent religion is like arguing that a government report on the impact of climate change is advocating drought and flooding. The United Kingdom is, at least nominally, a Christian country, with the Queen also serving as the Supreme Governor of the established Church of England. If Christianity is not a peaceful religion, then
why
the
is it
Queen
the religion
should not
of
be
your
the head
country?
of the Church of England.
And
charged with defending the Protestant faith. Meanwhile, the Islamic Republic of Iran is, as the name suggested, officially Islamic, with a religious cleric acting as its supreme leader. Conversion from the state religion of Islam to Christianity in Iran is officially deemed as apostasy, a criminal offense which is punishable by death. So Majid says the UK Home Office refuses asylum to Iranian Christian convert who stated that he didn't like violent Islam and wanted to live as a peaceful Christian. Home Office a letter defends Islam as peaceful and declares Christianity as violent. This is not a hoax.
Wow.
Why is the Home Office government taking a deranged, almost sarcastic approach to life-threatening asylum cases, Muslim faith death sentence for apostasy in theocratic Iran, and taking a theological view on Christianity? This has constitutional implications. Imagine making those comments about Islam.
That is so crazy. I mean, let's see. John Scotty Ward says the UK government also refused asylum to Pakistani Christian Ashia Bibi for fear of offending Muslims. It's purposeful.
Well, I'll tell you what I want you to do. Britt Brazza sent another video, and go ahead and bring it up, because it kind of goes to show you what is happening to the UK. And keep going. It's I think keep going. Let's see. I think it was like Thursday. So.
Nope. Now your thing just turned off. Let's turn it back on again. It's Tuesday.
No. Did he send it to both of us?
Maybe.
That's it. Right
here?
there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see if we can open it in another window.
So this is Shahid Malik, Justice Minister and Labor MP for Dewsbury. And in the beginning, it doesn't sound so crazy. You know, I'm not that opposed to Muslims becoming in governmental positions. I believe that that's, you know, we can't just say, hey, because you're a Muslim, you shouldn't serve. However, the way that he explains this and how he uses his position to get money, hundreds of millions of dollars from Muslim countries, and how his desire is to see the UK entirely Muslim and to see a Muslim prime minister. This is where you're headed. Go ahead.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Friends, Assalamu alaikum.
You want to make it big?
Although I'm now Minister for Justice, working alongside the Lord Chancellor, Jack Straw, who sends his good wishes, I was until 3 weeks ago Minister for International Development. It's also been a privilege working with Islamic Relief, Muslim Aid, Muslim Hands, and many others. Come on, a round of applause for the Muslim NGOs.
Wow.
My work as International Development Minister has resulted over the next 3 years with the UK assisting Bangladesh to the tune of £370 million, Pakistan inshallah £480 million, Palestine inshallah £243 million, Yemen in excess of £100 million, not to mention Sudan and Somalia. I'm proud of the achievements of the Muslims of this country from '97. In 1997 we got our first Muslim MP. In 2001 we had 2 Muslim MPs. In 2005 we had 4 Muslim MPs. Inshallah in 2009-10 we'll have 8 Muslim MPs. In 2014 we'll have 16 Muslim MPs. At this rate the whole Parliament will be Muslim. But you know we've got 4 Muslim MPs, there should be 20 Muslim MPs in Parliament, and inshallah very shortly we'll see that. And I'm confident, as Britain's first Muslim minister, that inshallah in the next 30 years or so we'll see a Prime Minister in this country who happens to share my faith. Today we're showing the true face of Islam. Our future in this country is very bright. Thank you very much.
Wow. And I was kind of hoping to see if I could find some an update on that, because it's highly disconcerting.
You think?
Yeah, and you know, I think I'm gonna move on over here to New Zealand. The Christchurch massacre was awful. We don't really know what the shooter's motivations really were.
Right.
But we do know that he wrote a manifesto, and you have to take at least partly what he said and think about it. And he said that he wanted to create a civil war in the United States, and he wanted to pretty much get rid of the Second Amendment in the United States.
Yeah.
And what's happening in New Zealand is they have shut down entire swaths of free speech in New Zealand. They've shut down websites. They're making it a crime to go to prison to have a copy of that video.
Right. Speaking of which, if anybody has a link to that, can you email it to me? Because I wanted to go over it again and I can't find it.
Go over what?
The video itself.
No, don't do that.
Well, I wanted to. So if anybody has it, you can
No,
send
you
it
can't.
to me.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it does. People
online.
have.
It's on Pornhub.com. Do you want to go get it?
Are you serious?
Yes.
No, I can't go there.
No. I just literally, there's an article.
So if somebody else has it that's not in a place like that, I would like to have it. If it's not at Pornhub.com.
Here's the thing. When we're talking about this, and the reason I say we are going to go, I wrote a little bit to New Zealand here. It's, so Nick Monroe says here, Nick Monroe on Twitter has this really great, well, it's on Twitter, but he has an article that he posted on Culture. And let's see, it's called, if you guys want to read the whole thing, it's really long. Nick Monroe, Christchurch shooter, was radicalized by censorship, and our leaders have just doubled down on dumb. Suppressing freedom of information gives the New Zealand shooter what he wanted. He said, I saw it on Pornhub. A few days after the New Zealand terror attack in Christchurch that left 50 people dead and 49 wounded was live streamed on Facebook for the first time and ended up there because that's where nobody thinks to look, at least or so I thought. Why Pornhub? The New Zealand terrorist attack video was on there because there's currently a widespread effort to suppress the distribution of the video on online platforms. 45 different websites are now blocked in New Zealand because of this. 45 websites are blocked in New Zealand. While you would think this would be confined to solely the gore and violence focused in a niche page, it's not. Places like Kiwi Farm were blocked, but it also impacts the general alternative social media platforms like Vote, BitChute, Gab. We can argue that 4chan and 8chan are separate matters entirely. Reddit banned. People
watch people die for glorifying violence.
But to see archive.is and zerohedge.com banned leave you wondering how far is too far. This is confirmed by statements from Spark New Zealand and Telstra saying that this DNS blockade will continue until these offending websites are censorship compliant. Discount Domain said that they had a moral and social responsibility to enforce the crackdown. New Zealand telcos are leaning on big tech to censor harder. Cooperation from law enforcement varies. Kiwi Farm stood their ground and refused to capitulate for requests of IP addresses and emails. 8chan and BitChute made it clear they're doing their best to cooperate. By the time Nick Murno said, I sat down to witness the first-person footage depicting the demise of Muslims at the Al-Noor Mosque, there were 13,000 views before me, which is significantly more views than what Facebook reported the live stream itself got. 200 views when the slaughter was live, while 4,000 managed to see the video before it was taken down. In the aftermath of the video spreading, Facebook soon found themselves removing 1.5 million videos related to the Christchurch attack.
Wow.
Out of respect for the people affected by this tragedy and concerns of our local authorities, we're also removing all edited versions of the video that do not show graphic content. You can see where we begin hitting the territory of overreacting. We know for sure that that happened thanks to pressure from New Zealand's Prime Minister. The video winded up on Pornhub because of what New Zealand police say was being, it was out of respect for the victims' families, but he's left wondering about the truth of that thought, though. How respectful is it to create a situation where a heavy-handed censorship system that punishes anyone up to 10 years in prison for possessing the video and 14 years to anyone sharing it spurs it to end up on Pornhub, the place where people do horrible things? How disrespectful is it to the victims that's where the video is?
Exactly.
And that's the line I wanted to get to when it talks about the censorship. So he goes on to talk about the fact that when you censor things, that radicalizes people, and the more you censor it, it's like here. The New Zealand authority said it took 36 minutes between they were first alerted until the moment the shooter was in custody. But a few days after, the New Zealand Police Commissioner came out and said it was actually 21 minutes between the first alert and the moment of arrest. They claimed that the in custody bit was when the shooter had arrived at the police station. Imagine for a minute that you had no video of the New Zealand terror attack. I admit it would be a relief to have the images of horror washed away from memory, but the alternative is much, much worse. Without the video, all of us are left to our own imagination to fill in the blanks. It talks about how people were able to someone even used Google Maps to provide an additional layer of context. They found, people were able to use the video to find the shooter, to find him. And so social media actually became a force for good.
Right.
Somebody was alerted. So without the attack, you don't know what happens. And then you have, he says, let's look at the events in the public eye that have occurred so far this year. The first few months of 2019 was crazy for the United States. First, it was the Covington Catholic controversy, out of context video, but then there was more video to back it up.
But what if it had been censored?
Exactly.
I mean, I understand that this is an attack where people are allegedly died.
Then there's Smollett.
But what if it was? How far does it go? If the hatred itself hurts you, right? It's kind of painful for me to watch those kinds of videos, right? So that's a legitimate outcry now. Hey, it hurts me. Please take that video down. Let's censor it. And then there wouldn't have been the additional context to have cleared the Covington Catholic boys, is what I'm saying.
Right. So you'll notice that the New Zealand government is censoring a lot of things. So this article from the New Zealand Herald is missing a section that says a well-known Muslim local chased the shooters and fired 2 shots at them as they sped off. That's gone. Anyone can see that is bound to react with and what happens is you end up in conspiracy theory territory when you don't have every information.
All the information to look at, yeah.
And so why stop at banning the New Zealand shooting? Let's take a look at the horrific footage that comes out of wars of the Middle East and ban them too. Why do we have to see images of the Palestinians, throwing rockets and grenades and, all kinds of crazy things? So anyways.
Can I just throw this out there? Okay. Because, like I said on our show, we're not going to jump into conspiracy theory land. However, I'm going to use the word alleged because we don't know. And the fact that they have censored this video and pulled it so fast, to me, strikes that they want to cover up something. Whether they're trying to cover up a botched fake video or they're trying to cover up whatever. I have no idea what it is that they're trying to cover up, but it's not about trying to protect the families or, not have it out there because it's wrong or what have you,
I think that if the New Zealand government knows. I think what happens is they say one thing to everybody's face. Like, you know, we love the Muslims here and everything. It's a religion of peace. But deep inside, they are terrified. Absolutely terrified of a response.
Right. Because
Islamic terrorism attacks dwarf any right-wing extremism.
Exactly.
I don't know of any, you know, right-wing extremism. We've seen a lot of hate hoaxes. We covered so many hate hoaxes in the United States. Now, these New Zealand women are so afraid of the people, Muslims. I don't believe it's respect. I think it's fear. That they wore headscarves covering. What they're literally saying is, we are lesser than men.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing and it's wrong.
Right.
New Zealand does debate. Well, I'm not going to try New Zealand accent.
No, don't try New Zealand accent. Oh, for crying out loud.
New Zealanders are debating the limits of free speech after their chief censor banned a 74-page manifesto written by the man accused of slaughtering the 50 people. Why don't you get to hear what he did? Why? You need to know why.
Right.
That's wrong. The ban issued Saturday means anybody caught with the document on their computer could face up to 10 years in prison for even trying to dismantle why he did what he did.
So it's not just the video.
No.
It's the document as well.
Yeah. While anyone caught sending it could face 14 years in prison. Some say the ban goes too far and risks lending both the document and the gunman mystique. Now, here's the thing. They're
Exactly.
What's happening is that if you don't know why he did it, how can you even stop another one from happening?
Right.
And Mein Kampf is still out there. You can still read why Hitler did what he did.
You can get it from Amazon, but you can't get Tommy's book.
No, and Jordan Peterson has been taken off of a New Zealand bookstore thingy.
My gosh.
At the same time, many local media organizations are debating whether to even name the Australian man. I don't even know what's his name.
They've named it several times. It hasn't stuck with me this time like the other ones.
Here's the thing. Everybody's like, don't name him. He wants recognition. You need to know
who did it, why they did it, what
years
this
from
is
now
part of dismantling any kind of crime and protecting
Charlie
yourself
Manson.
from the
Should
future.
we never? Here's the thing: if you never know Charlie Manson,
right?
If you don't know the name, you're never gonna remember what he did.
And how can we stop it from
Ted
happening
Bundy?
in the future?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like seriously,
it's not a matter of. You know what? Here's the deal.
Why do people even use the name Hitler? Don't say it. He wants recognition.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Maybe he wants recognition, but that pales in comparison of him. These killers, these people wanting to be able to perpetuate this kind of violence. Mm-hmm. And so it's either we allow the violence to perpetuate and we don't do anything to stop it, or we let him have his recognition.
It's like, I know the name Stephen Paddock.
Yeah.
But if I didn't, might forget that the thing even happened. That's what they want you to do. Forget that there was a man and a mass murder behind it, and then they make it an ideology and not a person. That's why they do it.
Yep.
Because they make it out to be, they want to blame it on a group of people rather than one
that's
person.
A really good, exactly.
Right?
Because then it's not just one crazy person, it's the entire, whatever.
Exactly. So at the same time, many local media organizations are debating whether to even name the Australian man charged with the murder. The 28-year-old Brenton Tarrant. Remember that name? Brenton Tarrant. After New Zealand Prime Minister Ardern avowed she would never mention him by name. Okay.
But then what if this guy's some sort of like, what do they call it with the mind control? What if he's some sort of like patsy, okay? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so by hiding his name, then you can't go and research what kind of guy he was. You can't talk to his family members. You can't see if he was anywhere close to having this kind of potential in him to commit a crime. That's what censoring his name does.
Right. So people that met him in the local gym and as the sleepy seaside town of Dunedin recalling nothing particular about him. Chief Censor David Shanks said Tarrant's manifesto contained justifications for acts of tremendous cruelty, like killing children, encourages acts of terrorism, even outlining specific places to target and methods to carry out attacks. They never censored Osama bin Laden. What he was saying, they put his video out there for everybody
for everybody to watch, which that should have you questioning as well.
Yeah.
Was that a little bit hoaxy?
And he said that
it seemed very real back then.
In banning the document, he said his staff worried about drawing more attention to it. So here's the thing. Do you think that there are truths in there that you're afraid of? I think that if it's crazy, then it's crazy. It's not going to draw people into it.
Exactly.
But in the end, he said they decided they needed to treat it the same way as propaganda from groups like the Islamic State, which they have also banned. It's actually now become a historical document. Okay?
That's a good point.
Shank said earlier placed a similar ban on the 17-minute live stream. But while free speech advocates haven't questioned banning the graphic video, they say banning the manifesto is a step too far. People are more confident of each other and their leaders when there is no room left for conspiracy theories, than when nothing is hidden. The damage and risks are greater from suppressing these things than they are from trusting people to form their own conclusions or even or to see evil or madness for what it is. Frank said he had no interest in reading the manifesto until it was banned. He now is curious because it's forbidden fruit, he said, and he wonders others may feel the same way. Worries. He said the ban makes no sense when New Zealanders remain free to read Adolf Hitler's autobiography. Right. Edern told Parliament last week that she wouldn't give the gunman anything he wanted. He sought many things from his act of terror, but one was notoriety, and that is why you will never hear me mention his name, but one is also a gun ban, which you are behind.
Exactly. And that shows right there. Somebody just said it smells fishy, right? John Scotty Ward says the ban in New Zealand on media content regarding the terrorist attack smells very bad. Could this be the blueprint for government cover-ups on an international scale?
Literally have to say
she won't give him notoriety, but she'll give him the gun ban that he wants. Like, that affects everybody.
What happens is you get into a place where we're not operating under the same vocabulary.
Okay. Yeah.
So this says news organizations fear Tarrant will use his trial as a soapbox. So what are you supposed to say? News organizations will fear the Christchurch killer. Do you really want to say that over and over and over again?
Exactly.
The Christchurch mosque killer. Use his name. People have names for a reason.
Right.
Jack the Ripper. Okay, we know these names for a reason, right?
Exactly.
Danish journalist Klaus Bloch Thomsen, who works for the Politiken newspaper and covered the trial of Norwegian mass murderer Andres Breivik, said there are dangers in censoring Tarrant. He said that during the Breivik trial, many media outlets, including his own, were careful to report only what happened in court without discussing his far-right ideology. He said it was an approach favored by intellectuals and so-called experts, but when he interviewed the families of the victims, he found many of them were angry. They said, when we start to censor ourselves, we just make him into a martyr. We are not able to learn how mad this guy was, what his thinking was, until everything is out in the light. In his manifesto, Tarrant describes himself as being born into a working-class family, not being interested in college. He says he made some money investing, although I think it was like BitChute or Bitcoin and stuff like that. He lived in a modest, pale green wooden apartment. His neighbors said they'd seen him go out running sometimes, but he kept mostly to himself. He went to the gym, pumping weights. He didn't learn much else.
They described him as polite.
Yeah.
Let's see. Grace says, I also believe it was planned to take away our guns. And he said that, actually, in his manifesto. This took place in another country, yet media is blaming President Trump and Candace Owens. To me, that was obviously staged by the globalist elites. And that's just as a reminder, you guys, he blamed Candace Owens. Not blamed. He said that she was some sort of idol to him or something. And yet, at the same time, he was supposed to be a racist.
So this is
too many things don't fit together.
Yasmin Mohammed, who is a refugee in Canada, and she's now an atheist. She was a Muslim. And she posted this. She says, it would be difficult for Western women who wore hijab on Hijab Day at the Women's March or in New Zealand to watch this and not feel shame. This is Alinjad Maish explains how you betrayed women. And so this is for the New Zealand Prime Minister and everybody who decided, and the police officers who decided to wear a hijab.
We didn't have to come up yet. She has a really pretty. This is called a frangipani
wears
in her
flowers
hair.
in her hair.
Those only grow in like tropical places. Nope, it's not ready. There we go.
And when it comes to compulsory hijab in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, the whole world keeps silent. And Iranian women, in their fight against compulsory hijab, they are alone. They are on their own. And when you say it's not true, I'm going to give you an example. There were 3 female politicians from Netherlands. They went to Iran the same day when one of the women of White Wednesday's movement put the headscarf on a stick and waved it in public, Shaparak Shajarizadeh, when she got arrested, the same day there were 3 female politicians from Netherlands in Iran obeying compulsory hijab law without challenging it. And the female politician from Sweden, they were very, well known when they started to publish their picture to mock President Trump's cabinet. It was full, the female picture and mocking the picture of President Trump's cabinet, which were all male-dominated. I was like, I love this picture. It's a good way to criticize a male-dominated cabinet. But what happened? The same feminists went to Iran, the same ministers. In Iran, they obeyed compulsory hijab laws in front of the president. I said to myself, well, when it comes to America, they were trying to say women and men are equal. But when it comes to Islamic Republic, they were trying to send another message. Well, men are more equal than women. So the female politician who go and visit to Iran, the tourists, the athletes, actress, all of them, when they go to my beautiful country, they say that this is a cultural issue. We wear it out of respect to the culture of Iran. Let me be clear with you. Calling a discriminatory law as part of our culture, this is an insult to a nation.
Wow. And her accent was a little bit difficult to hear, but she says calling a
discriminatory law a culture,
right,
is a respect to a nation,
right.
I saw a video that they had just posted where a 8-year-old girl was dancing, and one of the little black hooded crazy women went up and told her to stop dancing.
Yeah,
and there's a difference between like respecting a culture, which is important,
right,
and a discriminatory law that will see you put in jail,
right.
And women are protesting.
And that's the thing that I think that these lefties, that these
they
enjoy
it. I know these Swedish women, they want to be subjected by men, and it's embarrassing when they go. They go and they want to do it, but then
right,
yeah.
But anyway, they now you made me lose my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No, to me it's just really, really sad that we see these women that on the White Wednesday, they take off their hijab and they are fighting for something. They're fighting for their right. Mm-hmm. I remember what I was going to say. They're fighting for their right to be able to do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. If we hear these bleeding heart lefties that say, listen, these women want to wear the headscarf, okay? And you'll hear a lot of Muslim women come out and say, I want to wear the headscarf. That's fine. But when you have laws in a country that tell women that they have to wear the hijab to cover themselves,
and they
don't get a choice, and they arrest you and put you in jail, then you're not respecting the culture. There should not be any culture that tells women that they have to cover themselves over their heads. Okay, it's fine if it really was just a culture thing. If there was no Sharia law, right? And these women wanted to go into these countries out of respect. Hey, women like to do this thing, but not all women do it, but most of them do. All right, we're going to wear the headscarf. Okay, fine.
You're in solidarity with the women.
Yeah, exactly, because the women are saying, this is how we like to dress, whatever. It's like going into a Baptist church, right? Where they wear the long skirts and, women have their
aren't going to arrest you,
their hair
in jail
long.
If you don't have a long
so
skirt
if
on.
I'm going to go to a Baptist church, right, on a Sunday, I may not wear my slacks. I may wear a long skirt out of respect for this is how the women feel like they should be dressing, right? And that's fine. But this isn't that sort of thing. And when you conflate the two, that's when it gets into muddy waters.
Right.
And the hypocrisy that she mentioned is glaring.
Right. So Macron decided to bring out armed soldiers against the Yellow Vests yesterday. French soldiers are set to be deployed for the first time during the Yellow Vest protests this weekend. Some reports indicate they are being told to avoid protesters, while others indicate they have been permissioned to open fire.
Wow.
The soldiers have reportedly been redeployed from anti-terror operations sentinel duties and are expected to be placed to government buildings and other sensitive areas rather than engaged in regular law enforcement duties. But communication about their exact role has been poor. I read another article that said 4 in 10 French people favor a new revolution.
Oh my.
The military deployment, which follows renewed violence last Saturday, and Emmanuel Macron's government decision to ban protesters from the Champs-Élysées and other French city centers this Saturday, have been slammed by many, including less Republicans. Senator Bruno Retaliu, who labeled it as a fatal decision. It's a turning point. It's mostly a failure. I do not know if we used the army in 68. I do not remember, but using the army, including in static form to protect buildings, is extremely dangerous. The military is not trained in policing. They are trained in combat, to kill and neutralize. This decision is absolutely deplorable. And what European democracy is the army called in to police a social movement?
Nom Nom says Macron has gone full throttle totalitarian mode. You're absolutely right about this. And for those of you that are still a little bit unaware of what the Yellow Vest protesters, by and large, are, they're protesting the thievery of their money. They're protesting taxation.
Mm-hmm.
They're protesting the fact that they are supposed to bring home a paycheck and the government's taking almost all of it.
Mm-hmm. So here we see some clashes this weekend. But the anarchists come out, the revolutionaries come out, the violent, and when it started, it was just regular people sitting there protesting, and they had real grievances. But then you do have a huge...
Dude, he just pointed the gun at that guy.
Well, he just threw like a grenade. Okay. So
was it a grenade or was it a smoke grenade?
Smoke grenade, probably. Listen, I am never going to defend violent protesters.
Right.
However, Macron is acting like a thug, and in many cases, I think that they've deployed some of the violent protesters to voice, to drown out the real grievances that people who were just putting on yellow vests and protesting. Now you have this. Okay, these young men, they have nothing better to do. They want to be violent. They're stupid. They're stupid.
Yeah.
Okay? If they wanted something to be done, you have to remain non-violent. You can't just go and try to take things over. The French have a revolutionary spirit. We were talking to Horatio. He's just like, When you think about the French people, there are good people there.
Yeah.
Right? But then you have the revolutionary spirit and then you have Macron coming back with a heavy hand. And it just kind of keeps getting worse and worse. There are uncountable examples where the French are truly more brave than they are given credit for. The Gilets Jaunes movement is one of those examples where the French people aren't afraid to confront a broken system. So this is the kind of process we want to see.
Right.
Lots and lots of people showing up. Lots and lots of yellow vests. Singing songs. Chanting. Signs. Sit-ins. This is a way to protest, and you should protest because I think, with the highest taxed country in definitely the European Union.
Yeah.
So I like Partisan Girl says Macron is calling the Yellow Vest terrorists while calling Al Qaeda in Syria freedom fighters.
Unbelievable.
Sarah Abdallah says another weekend of chaos, tear gas, and police brutality against unarmed protesters. And that's what happens when you do have some violent people. It kind of gives the police chance to go after the non-violent people.
Well, and that's just it. Can we question, and yes we can, whether the violent people are plants to open the door for the police to come in and be able to open fire on the non-violent protesters.
Right. Exactly. So you have some thuggery going on there.
Wow. It's really disturbing
Macron's
to me.
rapid descent into authoritarianism. The army has been sent around the country today to repress the yellow vest demonstrators. This is a true face of neoliberal governments and their elite when you threaten them.
It's really disturbing to me when we have these things happening and we have a media that is censoring. We really can't know what's going on there. Mm-hmm. We can kind of have an idea with the reporters that we trust that are on the ground, but seriously, there's no real way to know. We can report as best as we can here on Resistance Chicks with the information that we have, but we are still, a whole pond away from the heart of the people, of what's really happening on the streets, what's going on. All we know is that Macron has now allowed the police to open fire on protesters. And that's a very scary time to be in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Hey, you. RT video.
Putting fire at crowds is apparently an option. The orders of the soldiers are strictly set out, extremely precise. They have different modes of action to face all threats. It could go as far as opening fire if their or someone else's life is at threat.
This Saturday, over 5,000 armed soldiers will be in the streets. Parisians are divided over the prospect, with some calling it catastrophic.
I think this is an extreme measure. Obviously, this will not solve everything, but at least it will help to avoid further destruction.
I don't think anything good will come of the government's decision to use the army.
As for what they did last Saturday, they burned down restaurants and so on. I think this is a necessary measure.
It's not the army's mission. It shows the failure of the government and the failure of our politicians.
I think if the army opens fire, it will prove that crisis management was not sufficient. I think that bringing in the army is a way of responding to the crisis, but it's not a solution to the problem.
Politicians from across the political spectrum have reacted with anger to this latest measure.
It's a serious mistake. Imagine them standing in front of the National Assembly or the Élysée Palace and hordes descend on them. What happens to them? Will they be fired on? Will people be killed?
In 2017, Emmanuel Macron promised to appease France. In 2019, he suggests that the military could shoot at demonstrators.
That's a really good
Macronism
point.
is fracturing France and sending it into the abyss.
C'est cette fois-ci être allé trop loin, Monsieur Macron.
This time you have gone too far, Mr. Macron. You have to know how not to push the entire country into a settling of scores. It's time to return to more proportional methods. The whole world would be horrified to learn that here in France we are using the same methods that we condemn when they are used in other countries.
In addition to putting soldiers on the streets in order to prevent another wave of violence, the French president has decided to close several iconic landmarks, including this famous avenue, the Champs-Élysées. On Saturday, anyone protesting here will face a fine to up to 135 euros.
These announcements are not the result of powerlessness, but rather a public order response to this precise reality, a horde of hooligans.
It seems beefing up security on the streets is the only solution to this crisis that Emmanuel Macron can see, and he's now turning his attention to other challenges.
Today, Brexit for me is not a technical negotiation. It is a political lesson before anything else. We have to acknowledge that China has been playing on our divisions. I believe that when anyone brings their domestic problems or divisions to the European Council, it is a waste of time, and I don't have time to waste.
Oh, wait.
The 19th
So I don't have time to address my own country's problems.
I thought that the European Union was just one big thing.
Exactly. They should be very interested in what's happening
just complete
in your country.
You mean you have stuff that's happening in your in borders? I thought we were borderless. I thought everything in the EU affected the EU. Migrants have to go everywhere. Mm-hmm. This is an EU problem. Everything's EU. Everything's
it is an EU problem.
This is something that we should talk. Like,
I think that's a really good point.
Hypocrisy is.
So I do want to point out while I was watching this video,
strong with this one.
We always say this when we see violence. It doesn't make any sense to me when we see violence as far as protesting goes. It doesn't make any sense to me when protesters go and burn and do damage to everyday like shops, right? But you did see them kind of like banging on the police vans. Maybe if you were to go to a government building, it would make more sense. You should not. We do not condone violence. But what I'm saying is burning up restaurants and other public places
just shows thuggery.
It shows thuggery.
I think that they're paid for by Macron, honestly.
And I think that they are too. And that's why he is not really giving it a whole lot of
okay, so this should be bigger news than this is.
Okay, let's go big. Wait, attention. This is going to be big news.
It should be bigger news than it is because we didn't see a bunch of mass people murdered, but
a bunch of mass people murdered?
A big bunch of people murdered. In Germany, police arrest 10 people on suspicion of terror plot. Suspects aged between 20 and 42 are detained after police raids in the Frankfurt region. 10 people have been arrested in Germany on suspicion of planning a terrorist attack using a car and guns. Criminals get guns with the aim
No,
of
they
killing
can't. You can't get guns in Germany.
People as possible. Several of the suspects, aged 20 to 42, were German citizens.
Wow.
A spokeswoman for the prosecutor's office said, without naming the other nationalities, they believed to have agreed to carry out an Islamist terrorist attack using a vehicle and guns that would kill as many non-believers as possible.
Whoa.
The statement from the Frankfurt prosecutor said, to prepare the attack, they had already made contact with different arms dealers, rented a large vehicle, and collected financial assets to use for the purchase of guns and the executions of the planned murders. The main suspects were a 21-year-old man from Offenbach and two 31-year-old brothers, I guess twins, from Wiesbaden, all of whom were associated with the Islamist Salafist community in the Frankfurt area. So, what about the rest of the people in the Frankfurt community, the Salafist community? Wow. What's being taught in that mosque?
That's scary.
Why didn't they run in, shut down the mosque, deport everybody? I'm sorry.
Gotta go.
You gotta go.
Can't stay here.
Another
you
man
gotta go home,
was also detained. And that's actually a nice thing to do. Instead, you know what I mean?
Michelle, guns for black market in Europe are rife with these military-grade weapons are held in mosques, says Britt Baza.
So, and I wanted to, while we were talking about this New Zealand attack, which is crazy and awful, what you see happening is you see this crazy guy didn't just come out and say, I'm mad at the Muslims in my country.
Yeah.
He said, I want to do this. It was crazy. Like, I like that we got the manifesto because he went on to say crazy things like, I want to create a division. I want to paint this on right-wing people. I want, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Although, don't you think it's probable, and I think we talked about this a time or two since the New Zealand attack, that if this is some sort of, when we say false flag, we don't mean it didn't happen. We just mean that it was designed by somebody higher up to happen than the person. That this guy, he wasn't just, trying to implement something in New Zealand.
Right.
He knew that this was going to affect a ripple effect around the world, but he went to New Zealand because he knew that they had the strictest, kind of gun laws.
They didn't actually. They really didn't.
Not the strictest.
Is he from New Zealand though?
I don't think he's New Zealand-ish.
Well, he lived there for many years.
He did live there, but I don't think he is. We can. Well, you can't really look up because they're censoring everything about him. But my point is, he had the opportunity to carry out this attack in several different countries. He was a world traveler. That much we do know. And since he had the opportunity to, and his original plan, they said, was actually that it wasn't going to be New Zealand, that it was going to happen someplace else. My point is, I believe that it happened in New Zealand for a reason. Not so much that they have the strictest gun laws. What I'm trying to say is that they are the easiest to be pliable. Did you see how quickly the Prime Minister has turned to censorship?
Yeah.
I'm saying that not this guy, but the powers that be that somehow helped orchestrate this or whatever chose New Zealand because they could be the easiest puppet for what they wanted to happen. That's what I'm trying to say.
But
he's Australian. Thank you, David.
Thank you. A number of far-right terror cases absolutely dwarfed by the number of Islamist cases, and that's what I wanted to bring to. That was my point I wanted to make. The number of far-right terror cases the authorities are faced with is absolutely dwarfed by the number of cases related to radical Islam. And I posted an article on my Facebook page, and I still had all these lefties out there like, propaganda, blah, 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 Christians in Iraq killed, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no. People in America did not go to Iraq to go kill Muslims.
Exactly.
Okay? They went there and people joined the military because they believed that a group and an ideology came and attacked us on 9/11 and we were told by our government that we needed to go and stop the terrorists from attacking our country again.
Bingo.
We were lied to, and many of these soldiers were lied to, and they were led by their Christian principles to go and defend their country.
Exactly.
And defend you and me and innocent people, and many of them lost their lives. And so I did. How many Christians did this to Islam? People are not going, literally, did not, after 9/11, say, I hate Islam, Muslims, I want to go kill them. That is not, there is not a Christian ideology at all.
There are actual young people, millennials, that didn't live through 9/11, okay? I'm that old. I lived through it. I remember life after 9/11. I remember people being angry at terrorists and terrorism, but no one was against Muslims. Right. No one just said, "Oh, I hate all Muslims. I can't believe, these Muslim people, these Muslims are trying to come into our country."
We never even talked about Islam. We talked about Iraq being and Saddam Hussein being a crazy dictator oppressing his people. Muslim and Islam was not even ever mentioned.
I have to be honest, and yes, I was young at the time, but still, my thought process was it was all about terrorists, and I just thought that terrorists were people that had, some sort of agenda that they wanted to push forward.
Exactly.
But I never attributed it to, the news never attributed it to, people on the common street never attributed it to
Islam.
Right. And so to come out and just say everybody's just so, they can't really say racist, bigoted or whatever, that's absurd.
Right.
The reason why it has become a big deal is because they made it a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I keep yawning. So here you have the MI5 specializes in counter-espionage and domestic security, in contrast to the foreign intelligence-oriented Secret Intelligence Service, better known as SIS or MI6, made famous by Ian Fleming's book James Bond. The assessment of the relative seriousness of the Islamic terror threat and the far-right terror threat was disclosed halfway through the Guardian report, focused heavily on the latter. Published by the media outlets, including CNN and Microsoft-owned MSN. The left liberal newspaper led on claims by the far left, Hope Not Hate organization, which describes itself as anti-fascist and has previously received funding from George Soros. The Guardian also quoted Britain's anti-extremism czar, Sarah Khan, regarding the frightening amount of legal extremists content online, which the left claim is fueling far-right extremism. The comment suggests a clampdown on the online anonymity and uncensored discussion groups may be in the card. Halfway through the article, however, the Guardian concedes that while the security services have not revealed how many of the 700 or so terror plots and the 20,000 individuals classified as closed subjects are related to right-wing extremism, MI5 did disclose that such cases are, quote, absolutely dwarfed by the number of Islamist cases being dealt with. This is the case despite the fact that Britain's white population, from which white national extremists are presumably likely to recruit, is in excess of 50 million, while the Muslim population, from which Islamist extremists are likely recruiting, is officially only 2.7 million, suggesting that radical Islamism presents a much more potent threat than the far right in terms of its capacity to radicalize people. And I think that that's the argument that the left is going to lose if we point that out.
Right.
Nevertheless, the British authorities have placed a huge degree of emphasis on tackling the far right ever since, even before Christchurch, with Cabinet Minister Andrew Rudd warning that people viewing what she described as far-right propaganda online could face up to 15 years imprisonment. So you've seen the way that they have attacked Tommy Robinson versus the Islamists.
Yeah.
Spreading Sharia law and control of people.
That's totally fine because it's just a culture thing, Leah.
And they do it because they know that Tommy Robinson is not violent.
Right.
They know he's a good person.
The British Reactor 2 says they want to ignite a war between Christianity and Islam. And that's absolutely true.
So this Swedish journalist, speaking of Tommy Robinson, was suspended from Facebook for mentioning Tommy Robinson and stating that we should accept others' opinions even if we don't agree with them.
Wow.
Independent journalist and freedom fighter Katrina Janausch wrote a short introduction for an article in her online magazine, Katrina Magazine. The article, written by another Swedish writer, is about the British freedom fighter Tommy Robinson. In her text, she wrote, "Defending freedom of expression when you agree is a breeze. But if we are to have any freedom of speech worth mentioning, it must also be defended when it is challenged and not all agree." And then she pointed out that it may be your turn next. And Swedish Facebook took Katrina at her word and suspended her. It may be your turn next to be
really
censored.
But it's not surprising. Yeah. It's sad, but it's not surprising. I mean, this is Sweden we're talking about.
She says the 7 days
of jail. It's amazing she didn't go to jail.
Was the result of when I published an article about British free speech hero Tommy Robinson on Facebook. The article was published on March 10th, but I was suspended. I was suspended now 12 days later. Perhaps a censorship committee was needed to conclude that the content was so offensive that I violated. So basically 12 days after, you never know. It doesn't happen instantly.
Yeah.
12 days later, somebody reported her as hate speech, and they took her off Facebook for, I guess, 7 days. Madeline's article is about free speech and that all opinions, even the ones we disagree with, should be allowed without the person stating them being threatened and harassed and called a dissident. Tommy Robinson's issue is ours, was the headline. And that's on freedom of speech. However, the Islamic terrorism is still the number one threat in Sweden. Wow. So Tommy Robinson goes and says, number one threat is Islamism.
Yeah.
So she writes an article saying they're censoring Tommy Robinson's speech. But then Sweden comes out and it admits a newly released report from Sweden's National Center of Terror Assessment Threat Assessment, the NCT, has warned that despite the recent victories over the Islamic State, radical Islamic terror remains the number one threat in Swedish security, even though we let them all back. The report, which compiles expertise from the security service, the SOPO, the military intelligence and the security service, and all the people, they come together. They say, yes, this is our number one threat. Now, remember, 2017 was a horrible, crazy year. We were covering terrorist threats like it seemed once a month. It was really sad.
We haven't covered them very much recently.
There hasn't been a lot.
There have been, you're right, not big terrorist attacks, but there have been small ones. Like really small ones.
Nobody cares anymore.
And they were going to desensitize to it. It's kind of really sad.
It says Linda Thornell, head of the NCT, spoke about the report, saying that the Islamic State terror group still remains a key source of inspiration for jihadis across Sweden. So they're a source of inspiration for jihadis across Sweden. Why are the jihadis in Sweden? Jihadis don't belong in Sweden.
Right.
They should never be there in the first place.
So there was in Italy an African school bus attacker, multiple victims reported, and shooting in San Francisco. These are just things that Worth a Look sent me last night. I'm just saying I get a lot of those now. We just usually we would pop on and go live right away, and we just haven't. We've been busy, but it does kind of feel like we're a little bit desensitized to the latest attacks that happen.
Now we have made the assessment that we have a continued heightened terrorist threat in Sweden. So far, Sweden has only seen one major terror attack, Stockholm attack of 2017. We're talking about major attacks. We cover all the major attacks.
Exactly.
That was committed by the Uzbek failed asylum seeker, Rakhmat Akalov. You know what? We should just name them our own names so we can just say them. Who later emerged as was a sympathizer of the Islamic State. Sweden has also seen around 150 or 300 or so of its citizens return from fighting the terror. For terror in
So your point is she wrote an article stating what the Swedish government is already stating.
Well, sharing an article about Tommy Robinson, who
but
states
still
that,
exactly, and she's taken off of Facebook.
Now in Germany,
there we go. Back to Germany.
Get this. Germany was our number one censor. We covered it over and over and over again. Germany was really censoring, the biggest censorship besides China was coming out of Germany, right?
Exactly.
Poor So
but
What.
We expect it from
There
China.
he is. There's So What. Poor So What has been, just
through the ringer,
and he has to keep his name and identity hidden. Merkel's party blames the USA for nationwide protests against internet censorship proposed by in Article 13.
Oh my God.
So even though the German CDU and the SPD both agreed in their coalition agreement that there would be no upload filters, this promise is now broken. But instead of admitting mistakes and owning the demonstrations, they are now blaming the USA. The official CDU and the CSU account tweets, when American corporations with massive use of disinformation and paid protesters attempt to block bills, our democracy is under threat. According to some sources, 10,000 up over 100,000 people took to the streets today to march against the CDU's proposed upload filters and further censorship of the internet. Massive demonstrations and thousands of participations have been seen across almost all major cities, including Berlin, Hamburg, and Munich. Nevertheless, EU politician Daniel Caspary of the CSU believes this grassroots movement, which has continuously been defamed by them as bots, is to have been paid up to 450 euros per American NGOs. Not a thing. Listen, we aren't American NGOs. I'm going to protest for the Germans' right to free speech all day long.
Me too.
And let's see, Axel Voss in the CDU and CSU, man pushing for Article 13 in the European Parliament, also blames U.S. companies like Google, YouTube, and Facebook for spreading false information to further goals. No. Demonstrations in Sweden and Australia, which took place simultaneously, have not been attacked in the same way. So we have the EU Article 13 is very, very dangerous. And that's how you get fascism. That's how you get dictators.
Right.
Let's see. Just dropped this track on the EU Watch the Full Music. I want to see if I have no idea if it's any good.
It might have curse words in it.
I know. We just have to wait. So Count Dacula, I want to become an MVP because Article 13 has ticked me off so much. This is also one of the few issues the left and right can agree on. The only one, the only ones that benefit are the rich elite.
Right.
The final vote on the EU copyright directive is happening this week. Dozens of MEPs are undecided on how to vote on the EU's disastrous copyright directive. Here's how to call them. So, you know, if you're in the EU. Robo copyright is the Article 13 rap you need to hear, YouTube creators. Jack Montgomery retweeted, so we're going to watch it.
That's the one you just had up.
I know.
Wait a minute, your thing wasn't on.
Okay. Well, I follow Jack Montgomery. He's a Brexiteer, so I trust it. We're going to make we can make it bigger.
It won't play right until they hear it go together. But they can read it.
I'll get it.
It's difficult to picture some enemies unless we give them an identity. The newest entity we've got to fight is Article 13. I call it copyright. I've been doing music on the net for 2 flipping decades.
I don't know if you guys can even hear it.
Okay. So let me get us hooked up here because it seems like it's gonna be pretty good. Is that it? Which one do we want?
It usually just joins if you stop playing the video. It should click up. If you have other things you could cover and wait a second, other things in your little Twitter feed that you were scrolling through.
Okay.
And just give it a minute.
Article 13 would require copyright filters that would check every tweet, Facebook update, shared photo, and upload video to see if they were similar to items in a database of known copyright works, and block if they found anything too similar. Creative Commons. There's no doubt Article 13 would force most EU platforms to implement upload filters. These technologies simply cannot distinguish between infringing and not infringing uses of a work. Creativity and freedom of expression will suffer. And if you want, I think I played it on YouTube. You could probably play it for everybody there. So Article 13 applies to information. I'm not going to read it all. It's just basically the Creative Commons that I think pretty much that we're sharing would be censored. And so you wouldn't be in the EU able to make these kind of commentary videos of creative use.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you want me to play it?
Let's see. Even Wikipedia says, do you know about Article 13? It is a proposed EU copyright rule that forces platforms to police all uploads just to be safe. You can stop this from becoming a reality. So you have literally the left and the right coming together. Yeah, let's play it.
Ad going. Skip ad.
It's difficult to picture some enemies unless we give them an identity. The newest entity we've got to fight is Article 13. I call it copyright. I've been doing music on the net for 2 flipping decades, even before YouTube on the GeoCities webpage. And every time I see the regulations get changed, it's harder for creative to make it to get some ad range. Look at my track record. I put a lot of time into coming up with tracks, records, and dropping rights on the fight to democratize copyright and shine a spotlight on anonymous and occupied. Look, I took a bit of time off to rap about games, but now I'm back and I'm backing up the game, passing out castigation and patting down your claim. No matter how you obfuscate your rationale's insane. Maybe you'll get the picture when I smack you out the frame, cause I don't want to see the intellect blacking out for shame. But that's what's happening now, yet again. A threatening mechanism checking on everything you say. All hail Robo copyright, a great leader. Hi brother, my router wasn't changed to a rate meter. All hail Robo copyright, a great leader. All hail Robo copyright, a great leader. And I don't like their decision. I diagnose it as a nightmare condition of a quite rare position where we can't upload any kind of copyrighted clip without their permission. Now it seems pretty good if you just look at the surface, but deep under the hood the engine isn't fit for purpose. And if we still don't trust AI and Teslas yet, then pray why would we let it suppress the net? Unless we forget SOPA and ACTA, the Digital Economy Act, and every tactic the copyright lobbyists, hobbyists, the obfuscating confidence tricks are pretty obvious. They make it sound like it's benefiting small creators to make them also text forevermore for all the ages. But look at labels and the way they've always treated artists. If you can't see they won't change, you need new glasses. It isn't about creative control now, it's about controlling creatives for cold cash. They want money for old rope, it's old hat, it's an old trope, anybody could have told that. We're surrounded by constant IP, imagine real life with content ID. A conglomerate deciding what your eyes see. When there's nothing else left, they'll copyright me. Freedom! Why bother with a doctor? You've got a faith healer. Freedom! Acting like a god. But you're a lay preacher. Hey Jesus, save me, cause gates and meeting Saint Peter. All hail Robo Copyright, our great leader. You're never gonna drain the swamp if you wade deeper. All hail Robo Copyright, our great leader. All hail Robo Copyright, our great leader. Do you trust the judgment of an algorithm to look at everything you touch and make a sound decision? The value of satire or parody and tell the difference, all controlled by copyright trolls. We know they're well malicious, but when they tough enough to make a parody, some of us have given up because of copyright brutality. Cash grabbing companies take money for morality, knowing full well they're falsifying the legality. As if it wasn't bad enough already with net neutrality, they've done it again. It's the definition of insanity. How can we trust a robot to know what's permissible, that only sees the content but context invisible? It's risible, divisible, befitting of our ridicule. At least it would if the reality wasn't so miserable. Every single picture you submit will be conditional. Article 11's even restricting what is clickable. It's vulnerable to abuse, commercial and political, like unelected politicians slipping us right. So if you all care about it, make people aware about it. Get on the phone, get on the web, get on the air and shout it. All hail Robo Copyright.
That's pretty fun.
Cutting off the trailers so you can't see the main feature. All hail Robo Copyright, our great leader. All hail Robo Copyright. Give them an identity. The newest entity we've got to fight is Article 13. I call it Robo Copyright.
Okay, so that was
awesome
fantastic.
because it showed some of the big YouTubers out there who do a lot of stuff, and YouTube created a unleashed the power of the people once again, that the elites across the globe, the one world government, you know, you can have liberal policies. People, socialists, even like the Bernie Sanders supporters, want free speech.
Right.
They just want, and I say that, I always look at the left and the right, and I say it's actually a circle. And we come full circle because as you go, we are so close. I like to say we're so far right that we touch the left. And why? It's more of a circular reasoning, because if you look at it linear, then you see... and when we say far to the right, they don't do far right. Okay? They don't do far left. Far left is communist China and communist Korea, where you have one dictator, everybody is totally brainwashed. They tell you what to eat, they tell you what to wear, they tell you what to think, they tell you what to do. Iran, Saudi Arabia, far left. But what gets everybody mixed up is that they say Christianity is to the right.
Yeah.
And so when you talk, they take morality and they say, well, because Christians, have biblical texts against, homosexuality and adultery, they falsely put this false thing forward that says far right is just really moral conservative people. So then they put Saudi Arabia as far right.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's actually based on government and not morals.
Right.
Okay. We have to bring back our descriptors. Okay. We're not using the same logic. There's a total different mirage of far left, far right.
Sure.
You can have a far left, far right religious, moral thing. Okay. But they are transposing that onto the political spectrum.
Right.
And the political spectrum of socialism and social goods and freedom and things like that. So when we say far right, the farthest right that you get when you follow that on a linear level is total anarchy. You literally have no government whatsoever. There's no sheriff in town. There's nobody. There's nothing. It's every person to themselves.
Yes.
Okay? But when you see Christianity as we are supposed to care for the sick.
Right.
We're supposed to care for the elderly. We're supposed to care for people who can't work.
Right.
Okay, we're supposed to care for people who are down on their luck, who are having a hard time. And Christianity says we're supposed to do that. So you have the Bernie Sanders people who say, I want to do that. Okay?
Right.
Christianity says on the far right spectrum, we want to do this, but politically, you have the freedom to choose to do it or not do it.
Right. So here, do it this way. Let's see, 2 halves of a sphere. Let's see if we can pull up a picture of 2 halves of a sphere and just like put it in the center here. Just go to images. Okay, circle, 2 halves of a circle. This figure's not going to help.
You just need to draw one.
I know, but I wanted to be able to use of a circle. Okay, here we go. Here we go. One of those. Anyone, just pick that one and pull it up big in the middle. All right. So here's what Leah's trying to say. When you start to go far, we'll say you guys are looking at it. I think this way would be the correct way. Far right. Okay. If you actually stop in the middle, you're the farthest away from being able to join together to do anything, to get anything done. Mm-hmm. So when you're saying as you travel on this circle, okay, then you can come together to take care of the poor and the sick with the left. We just have to figure out a better way to do it. They say they want to grab all of the money from people, you know, and legislate it. Whereas we say we're going to come up with more churches and missions and things like that.
And have people do it out of the kindness of their heart.
Exactly. And it also goes with, we find the same thing happening with the left and the progressives when it comes to vaccine choice. Mm-hmm. We come together in that same realm. When it comes to food choice, we come together with them, and we can join together. When it comes to saving the planet, we actually can come together and join together hand in hand. But if you actually continue to just stay here, you're never going to have a conversation because you're as far away from the other side as possible.
Good. That's really good. I've never seen that before like that. That's really good.
Well,
that's a good thing to end on. That was a really good thing to end on. Yeah, I like
is that where we're ending?
Yeah.
We don't have anything else to cover?
3 o'clock.
Okay, well, we got to open them up. Patriot Gallery's card from Marlene that we forgot to open. We'll save Kansas's. But Marlene, I couldn't find this last night because it went upstairs with all of Leah's cards.
It's a pretty envelope. It's a pretty
so
card.
This is to Patriot Gallery from Marlene. Sending birthday wishes. That's a very beautiful card with a butterfly. I'm wearing a butterfly today.
You are.
May this day be one to enjoy. Patriot Gallery. Happy birthday. March 23rd, 2019. Happy birthday to you. Thank you for all your love and work. I appreciate your godly wisdom in times like now. We need you. Keep doing good for Jesus. With love in Christ, Mrs. Marlene Ruth Allen. God bless you, your land, and your precious daughters all year. Best wishes for your health and happiness. And Marlene has lovely handwriting. Penmanship, as we will call it.
I even love the envelope here.
Yeah, Marlene always sends the prettiest cards.
And this pretty sticker on the back.
Thank you, Marlene. Yes. And for Patriot Gallery, I would like to say her thank you as well.
Yeah.
She's not watching the show today, but she will be at the premiere when we premiere it. Let's shoot for, it's 3 o'clock now. Let's say 7 o'clock on Resistance Chicks channel is when we will premiere today's show. Leah and I have some pet visits to do. It was sunny. Now it's not. We have our piglets to check on.
Yesterday was a beautiful sunny day.
For those of you that didn't get a chance to watch Leah's, for Patriot Gallery's birthday, we literally had piglets. For those of you that didn't get a chance to watch Leah's video,
I love them.
Go and check out the video that she streamed live. Look at how cute they are. And you can kind of get a first eagle eyes view of the adorable piglets. So we love you guys. God loves you.
And
God bless.
And she enjoys our singing. And everyone has the favorite song. And I feel so bad because Gracie thought she was having a baby too.
I know, she laid there for like 2 hours. Like, I know I'm having a baby too. I
started singing as I went down the river to pray. That's Gracie's song. I sang it for Susie because Susie kind of gets a little grumpy. So I was singing it for Grumpy Pants. And Gracie comes all the way from the walkway to me like,
I wish I had babies. And we're not even sure if she's bred. We're going to hopefully have the vet come out. He's going to check out Malachi's bum leg. Everybody kept going, only 3. They only had 3. Let me explain something to you, okay? When it comes to the birds and the bees and the pigs, Malachi is like, I keep saying he's 350. He may weigh more than that. I don't know. His little legs are about that long, okay? If that.
And he's got a bad bum back leg.
And he has a bum back leg, and his job for breeding means that he has to lift and hoist 350 pounds on one leg, right? And so pigs are like dogs and cats. They have to be bred several times for every egg to be fertilized, and he just wasn't able to get the job done because of his bum leg. You can't fault the guy.
But it just goes to show how good he was.
Yeah, he was really good. I mean, he was shooting numbers. They were every litter from the time he's been breeding almost
have been 11, 12, and 13.
I think, what was our biggest litter? Like 15 and 1 died.
1 died.
Ah, man.
I was hoping she wouldn't pop out anymore at that point.
And I told Patriot Gallery and Leah, it's less stress on us when it's a smaller litter because the pigs only have between 11 and 12 teats.
We've had to bottle feed some runts.
And it's when there's a runt, there's a 13th or 14th piglet, and they fight and they don't get a lot of, it's a lot of time. So I figured it was the Lord just saying, chill, take a break. She's got there are plenty of teats to go around for those piglets to nurse on, and we just have to wait and see if the other 2 sows are pregnant. But we're completely happy and blessed with our 3 little piglets that we have. So I wanted to pass that along to you guys. We had an exciting day.
Is there a little song you want to sing at all?
I don't know. We could just sing that song. We could sing Gracie's song.
I've been singing it a lot.
Okay, and you burn out on that.
Yeah,
burn out on that song that's like your favorite.
I know, but it's like, and I have to keep it in my pocket because I know when I go out there I have to sing it again.
Right.
So, do you have another? Sorry, I sing that.
We haven't sung in a long time,
What's
but it is one of our favorites that we sing a lot, even though we haven't sung it.
Josh from the Battle of Jericho?
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Lyrics. That would help.
So, I am so sad that Jasper's gone.
Jasper is gone. Is that all the lyrics? Aren't there more than that?
No, there's more. There's click on more. Holly is gone back home. And
it's peaceful.
It's really quiet.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're going to do.
She's the sweetest dog ever. She's really sweet, but she just needs a lot. She's a higher energy, needs a lot of attention.
I need some puppies.
Here it comes.
I need some beagles.
Joshua fought the battle of Jericho. Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. You may talk about your men of Gideon, you may talk about your men of Saul, but there's none like good old Joshua and the battle of Jericho. And Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Up to the walls of Jericho they marched with the spears in hand. Come down those ram horns, Joshua cried, 'cause the battle is in our hands. 'Cause Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Then the ram shaped. I don't even know those
that
words.
verse.
I've never seen that verse in my life.
Then the lamb ram sheep horns began to blow. The trumpets began to sound. And Joshua commanded the children to shout, and the walls came tumbling down. And Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Joshua fought the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. Take it away. That's good. That's good.
I wasn't sure how we were going to end it. I thought you might go with it.
I was trying, and then I just it's like I missed the elevator on that one.
So Trump's trying to build a wall, but we got to tear down walls in order to build the wall.
Yeah, I like it.
You like that reasoning?
All right, don't forget to tell them to like,
comment, and subscribe to both of our channels, Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. You know, I wanted to start out the show with something. Ring the bell for notifications. Can we all just take a moment of thanks? Like, we should be thankful for certain things in this world. I'm thankful that Patriot Gallery is okay.
Praise the Lord, hallelujah, God is a healer.
That we have 3 piglets.
Hallelujah for new life.
Thankful that we are able to stream on our Mass Faith 3 channel. Given that video that we just watched
about the censorship,
if this law, I'm going to tell you guys something really scary for Resistance Chicks. If this law passes in the EU, this Article 13, it's going to affect our videos, because when a video gets censored in the UK, they have shut down our entire channel for that before.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and given us, they didn't shut down our entire channel. They gave us a copyright strike that ended up getting rescinded.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to go through a process.
And it was like a month.
Meaning if we play any video in the entire European Union that gets blocked in any country, they will give us a copyright strike. And that's a very scary place. So you think that, it's just going to affect the EU. No, No, it will affect us firsthand. It's so scary.
So let's pray about it. Lord, I pray you put the kibosh on Article 13.
Get that
kibosh. You get down into that EU and say, No, I got some praying people. And you know what? Victor Orban's doing great. Poland's doing a good job. But you know what? Money.
Yeah, will get you every time.
Get you every time. Salvini was took
right.
behind the water.
What was that thing you just read? The Oliver Cromwell thing. Like Esau, you sell your birthright for a piece of bread.
Italy's economy, you know, making it work, making it run. Poland, Hungary. It's like, listen, we got to pray for you know what? Somebody is. Yes, we're gonna take care of it. We're gonna the stock market's gonna crash. We're gonna get rid of the dollar bill. We're gonna go back to gold standard.
You can't pay all these censorship,
and then you're
trolls,
gonna have
Then
we're gonna have countries great again.
Exactly. All right. So thanks to all our moderators: Britt Baza, Shawnee Show, Kelly, Maia. Worth Look. So what? You were a moderator at one point, but you're allowed to voice your own opinion. Sometimes the moderates self-censor, so it's better for you not to be a moderator because then you can actually say what you want to say. Because not everybody has the same opinions, but Britt Baza, I know our moderators try to keep their opinions that they verbalize consistent with Resistance Chicks, and we appreciate that, so thank you guys for that. But
it's okay to disagree.
It is totally okay to disagree.
Mom?
Patriot
Gallery goes on. Lionel, Alex, anybody. She disagrees
all
the time.
I know.
It's fun for her. So go ahead, disagree. And it gives us, but don't. I got a lot of people when they do disagree. We call them. We try to like have some sort of conversation or debate. Then they get a little offended. Don't be offended. It kind of gives me a good talking point. I like it.
I like it when there are. I don't want them. I never want the moderators ever, and they know this.
But no,
to delete comments that are contrary to what we're saying. You can leave that. Leave them. I want to read them. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Well, I like to read the positive ones, but actually, what a lot of the best discussions come up because you give me something like a springboard to think and to discuss.
Like Kelly says, just be respectful.
Yeah.
Kelly said earlier they were on their way home from vacation and we're traveling with you.
Oh,
say
that's
hi
awesome.
to all the cars going by. All right, you guys, we love you. God loves you. God bless. Send us your letters, P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150, and we will read them on air unless otherwise noted when they are sent. All right, we'll see you guys back here for sure on Friday.
But hopefully in between then. Yeah, we got, Brexit's breaking news. Hopefully if there's any Brexit
and we have this fancy studio. Patriot Gallery has a new laptop. So she got that for her birthday yesterday, so hopefully she'll be able to, do more spreading of the Resistance Chicks knowledge.
My computer went down again.
Hopefully it was always crashing. Hopefully it's not crashing anymore. All right, you guys, good night and God bless.
I was cold all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid. But you call my name.